Translated, basically the rich man says, hey, buddy, I want a written account of all my business dealings, of all my financial dealings, everything. And I want it on my desk by the end of the day, and then you are fired. That's basically what the rich man tells the manager. And how does the manager react? Well, it's kind of interesting. He says, well, gee, he's sort of depressed and discouraged. He said, well, gosh, I'm going to lose my job, but, it's imminent. It is going to happen. I've already been told that. So, I'm not able to do manual labor, okay? And I'm ashamed to beg. But then he comes up with this plan, and actually, it's a brilliant plan. And the plan, and we may debate, we may question, well, is it an ethical plan, a dishonest plan? Well, regardless, it's a brilliant plan, and his plan is to sit down with everybody who owes his master money. And he renegotiates their contracts, he renegotiates their debt, and in each case, he lowers the amount that they owe the master. Pretty slick. I mean, again, this is brilliant, and why is it brilliant? Because this guy's going to lose his job at the end of the day, okay? And he's going to have some friends out there, isn't he? Why? Because these businessmen are going to be very, very happy. Wow, you lowered my bill to your former master. They're going to look upon this guy very favorably, right? It's a brilliant plan. It's a wonderful plan. But then Jesus makes this observation in verse 8. In fact, verse 8 really is not only where Jesus makes his observation, but this is sort of the part that commentators wrestle with. What exactly is said here, and what exactly does it mean? Verse 8, the master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. Now, Jesus' observation is in the second half of verse 8, okay? And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's focus on the first part of verse 8 to begin with. First of all, there's somewhat of a controversy as who the master is, okay? Some people read verse 8 and they think, this master represents God. And so, in their eyes, God is commending dishonesty. Well, with all due respect, I think that's just not, you're not reading very carefully. The first part of verse 8, Jesus is still saying the parable. The first part of verse 8 is still part of the parable. The master that's mentioned at the beginning of verse 8, that's the rich man, okay? That's the rich man that Jesus has just been talking about in the parable, okay? So I don't think there's a controversy there, okay? But the other thing, which many people sort of get hooked up on, I guess, is why is the manager commended? And some people conclude, the master commends the manager because he's dishonest. What is the deal with that? That doesn't make any sense. Well, that's not what the text says, does it? Let's read it again. The master commended the dishonest manager because he was dishonest? No, because he had acted shrewdly. So, was it dishonest what he did? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But some people actually, they approach the first part of verse 8, and you know what they say? They actually conclude, well, no, the manager actually, what he does when he renegotiates his contracts, it's a good thing. It's an honest thing. It's an ethical thing. And their rationale is, the manager must have overcharged these people, initially, and all the extra money, the extra interest, he was skimming off the top, okay? And then the rest went to his master. And so by renegotiating these contracts, the master's going to be happy because now his customers are paying the honest price, and his customers are happy. Why? Because they owe less, what they should have owed in the first place. Now, that's a great theory, but is that in the text? No, I don't think. None of that is in the text. But you know what? Whether we think this renegotiating, of the contracts, whether we think that's dishonest or unethical, or whether we think it's a good thing, well, we can disagree about that. But you know what? Let's not lose the focus. Frankly, it really doesn't matter. It might make an interesting discussion, but what really matters is why does Jesus tell this parable? He wants to make a point. He wants to make an observation. And so let's focus on the observation, and that's the second half of verse 8. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. Now, the people of this world, to me, that is an obvious reference. These are people, he's talking about people who do not love the one true God. They're not followers of Jesus. They're people of this world. On the other hand, the other group of people mentioned, people of the light. People of the light. These are people, I think, obviously, these are people who love God, the one true God. These are people who are following Jesus. And so Jesus' observation, based on the parable that he just told, is that follow the thought, non-Christians are better at something than Christians are. And what are they better at? Well, non-Christians are more shrewd. They're wiser in dealing with other people, in dealing with their own kind. In fact, if we were to summarize here, to put it in plain English, Jesus' observation is that non-Christians are better than us in planning for the future. Non-Christians are better than us. Those of us who are Christians, they're better than us in planning for the future. Remember, Jesus' observation about the parable, what has just happened? Why did he make this observation? Well, the manager's he's been fired. He's going to lose his job. So he does this brilliant thing. He renegotiates the contract. What is the manager doing? He's planning for his future. He's going to lose his job. He needs friends. He's preparing for the time when he's not going to have a job. And Jesus says, hey, he uses that as a launching board to make this observations. I'm telling you guys, non-Christians are better at using their money. They're better in terms of planning for the future than you are. So very interesting observation, isn't it? And then, in verse 9, Jesus actually makes an application here. He decides to come up with a solution. He makes this observation, and then he recommends a solution. And look at verse 9. He says, I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. So he begins, he says, use your worldly wealth. And worldly wealth simply means the money that you have right now as a human being. Money in our checking account, the money in our purses, the money in our wallets. Use your money, use your stuff right now to do what? He says, to gain friends for yourselves. You say, gain friends for myself? I'm not quite sure I follow that, but we'll get back to that. To gain friends for yourselves. Why? So that when it's gone, when your money's gone, in other words, when you're dead, right? Because when we're dead, no more money, right? All of our possessions are gone. We cannot take it with us, right? So when it's gone, when you're dead, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. Now, I think for us to really grasp exactly what he's saying here, it seems to me we need to study or talk about briefly a key word in verse 9. And to me, one of the key words clearly is the word eternal. Okay? And so Jesus is saying, use your money now for eternal purposes. Specifically, I want you to use your money right now to make friends, to make spiritual friends. I want you to use your money now for eternal purposes.